Hi, my name is Nick, and I am the founder of 9Yaps. And for the past 2 years, I've been a student entrepreneur, and I feel like I miss out on sharing my story. So I was like, why don't we start a podcast where I share my story, I interview and have discussions with other student entrepreneurs, and kind of see how it goes. Maybe we inspire some other people. Maybe we help people with their journey, or maybe we're just here for some entertainment. You can't judge me now for these first episodes. We actually have four so far that are filmed. They are still being edited and everything. And this is technically the second one. We had some formatting issues on the first one, but anyway, I'm still getting better at the flow. It is it's very, I guess, I wouldn't say intimidating, but you get kind of nervous when, like, you got to make sure everything's set up, the microphone, how the background looks, getting the guest on, someone that you don't know. So it's great. It's been a journey. I love it. I love making these podcasts, and I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, there might be some mishaps in flow. I'm trying to get better at speaking, and that's pretty much it. So our first guest is Dillon. He is the founder of BounceBack Pickle, where he basically gets broken pickleballs. He grinds them down, remakes them, and then sells them. So it's a great story. I can't wait to show you. I hope you enjoy it. I would love your feedback on it, and we'll get right into it. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna go for it. So welcome, Dillon. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. Why don't you start off with a little introduction about yourself, and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's Dylan Rosenthal. I'm currently a senior studying entrepreneurship at Florida Gulf Coast University. And earlier this year, I founded BounceBack Pickle, which is a pickleball recycling program where we're turning old, cracked, and worn pickleballs into the world's first 100% recycled pickleball that will then be available for the pickleball market to purchase.
That is pretty cool. So I like to have like a question that I ask all of our guests, just to kind of have a little warm up. So what is something that you would tell student entrepreneurs, or I guess startup entrepreneurs in general, to stop doing? So what's something that maybe you've learned that you would recommend to stop doing?
That's a great question. I think it's stop overthinking and to just take action. I see a lot of people think too much before they start, before they go into something. Whether it's how do I start, how do I attack this problem, what do I need to do before, and it's just start. Just go out there, talk to people about your idea, get some feedback, see if it's a real thing, and then you go from there. You figure out the steps along the way, and people introduce you to the right people, and it's not really stop, but don't be afraid to ask for help is another thing.
That's a pretty good answer. So then with that answer, how did you start? Obviously you found a problem. I know you play pickleball yourself. So how did you start your journey? Were you always like have an entrepreneur spirit, or how? Where does your story start?
Yeah, so I actually was born in England, despite my accent, and I moved to Florida when I was 8 years old. And my dad was always a business owner, so I think I kind of picked up on his spirit. And when I was 12 years old, it's kind of when the fidget spinner craze started. I saw these fidget spinners online, and everyone was talking about them, but they were like 50 bucks on Amazon, and no one could afford them. So I went out and took apart my skateboard and made a fidget spinner with a skateboard bearing and hot glue and some marbles. I took it to school the next day and someone offered me $5 for it, so I sold it. Made another one the next day, sold it for $10 the next day at school, and then was like, you know what? Let me do this a few more times and I can buy a real one. I did it and I built up this fidget spinner selling business in middle school. I started selling iPhone accessories and different things, and that was really my first business. I then had a couple other ventures in high school selling sneakers and clothes, and then some failed. Custom Zippo lighters was the big one that failed for me. I did some drop shipping as well. And then when I went to college, I had fun for the first couple of years, and then started playing pickleball and noticed this problem earlier this year where, pickleballs are getting trashed. And my roommate is actually the one that came up with the idea. Now he helps me out with the business. But back in January, he brought to me this idea. He knows I study entrepreneurship, and there are some programs, accelerators, and competitions at my school that kind of pushed me to keep going and strive towards winning some competitions and winning some funding for this business. Funnily enough, right after I started the research, seeing what I had to do to get started, the school announced the first innovation challenge that they're doing. And it was a $15,000 prize. And fortunately enough, I won that. The school then sent me out to a couple more competitions, but the whole process basically started by me reaching out to my local park. It was a Parks and Rec. Got in contact with the manager, and he said, "Yeah, go ahead, throw a bin down." So I put a bin down, and actually the whole story is it was a little cardboard bin, and I knew that it wasn't going to last because it was outside, but I thought it was going to last until the first rainstorm. The Florida sun just beat down on it, and a few days later, it was all crumpled up. The stickers were peeling, and it wasn't doing good. So I got invited to a FGCU pickleball tournament where I went and set out a table. I promoted BounceBack Pickle. I had a recycling bin, and I made some hats in like the FGCU lab maker space. I sold the hats for 15 bucks. They weren't anything special. But I was telling everyone that the money, it's not for the hat. It's so that I can afford like a plastic bin, which was 60, 70 bucks. And I got the bin, put it out, and everyone was like, "Oh, wow, like he actually did it in the weekend." And I sold out the hats. It was a fun thing. Um, and with that, I was like, you know what? People like this. People are buying the brand. People want me to grow and succeed with this. So I just kept going. I started reaching out to more facilities, got more bins, and now we're recycling in 35, 40 facilities in Florida. We're partnered with a nonprofit up in the New England area who are recycling in about 50 facilities. And they're just a nonprofit on the same mission as us, and they send us our pickleballs, or send us their pickleballs. And then we have a guy out in Los Angeles right now expanding another 10 facilities. And then on the actual production of the pickleball side, I guess we can get into that a little later. We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, I think they're gonna share a similar story where they tried to like sell something in high school or even middle
Mhm.
school. I was in the same boat, selling the fidget spinners, not even making too much money on it, but it was just fun, just fun
Mhm.
trying to resell different things. And then, so yeah, with your pickleball, and you were collecting a bunch of pickleballs, and everyone's shipping them to you. Obviously, the cardboard thing didn't work in the beginning. So were you focused on trying to make a business model yet out of it, or were you just trying to kind of get some structure going on and get the pickleballs up there, and then figure out what to do once your house is filled with them?
Yeah, of course. So the business structure was always collect pickleballs, grind them up, remold them, and the whole thing was I'm gonna figure it out along the way because I knew that that's what I wanted to do, but there was no way to just collect all of the resources, send a bunch of pickleballs out, ground up pickleballs to China, and then or I didn't even know that it was China at the time, and get the pickleballs back and see what happens. So in my head, I was like, this is a pretty viable model. And if it works, it's gonna be good. So let's start building like a brand base. Let's get some traction out. And obviously we needed to collect pickleballs somehow to do this test run. So I started building a brand behind it, and I would go out to facilities. I'd cold call facilities to get bins in. With the goal being to build the brand. On the flip side, I knew that eventually I'm going to be sending a batch of balls out to somewhere to get remolded into new balls to just test the process and to see how it goes. Now, I was fortunate enough to, part of this funding, none of the money was coming out of my pocket at the time, or it still isn't, thankfully. So I was able to build this like base of the business and build up the brand and kind of spend some money on like it's almost a marketing side, putting out these bins and getting the name out there so that once these balls come back, there's some brand awareness.
Yeah, yeah, that's really important. Focusing on the brand, even for what we do, we're only really at USF. We're just now expanding to the University of Tampa after 2 years. But I think focusing on the brand is really important because you could always sell something. It could be pretty much anything. It could even be a service. But if you don't have that brand, you don't really have any traction. Like
Exactly.
there's a lot of people that ask me like, oh, are you worried about someone copying your idea? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. There's always someone that can come in and replicate it. If you're baking cookies or even if you're making pickleballs, someone is easily make it, but what they can't easily copy is the brand. So that's really good to hear that you're focusing more on the brand than pretty much anything else right now, figuring it
Yeah.
out later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I guess just to kind of continue going on that, um, when people ask me that question, like, well, what about selling the balls? It will happen. We're just gonna make sure that we're launching the highest quality thing that we possibly can once we get there. And the prototype testing is all kind of part of that. But
that's very
yeah.
cool. Did you try making the pickleballs yourself at one point?
No, I don't have like any of the machinery to do that. So at one point, way at the beginning, I was going to do it locally. And I guess to go into actually making the pickleballs a little bit, there's rotational molding and injection molding. Now, injection molded pickleballs tend to be the indoor pickleballs, which are like crappier balls, I guess, whereas the outdoor balls are the more high performing style balls, which are roto molded. So we're going for a high performing ball, so we have to roto mold these balls. Injection molding is a lot more common, whereas roto molding is a little more niche. So finding a roto molder to do it locally was impossible. I have a local injection molder, but it just wasn't the right way to go.
I see. Yeah, it's very interesting learning about other people's like process of doing things. We're a very like I guess basic you could say service, but we're not like working with any type of physical product. So it's interesting to learn about other people's like process.
Yeah, definitely.
So what does your team structure look like right now? I know you mentioned that you have someone in California that's getting this going, and then you're obviously here in Florida. So what's your team structure looking like?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, I kind of deal with every kind of daily operation stuff. My roommate, who I mentioned earlier, who originally came up with the idea, he has a little bit of equity now, and he's the goal with him is he'll be kind of operations and transition him. So we have a group of kids at our school who volunteer for Bounce Back. Our school requires like community service hours to graduate, and we're able to give that since we receive funding through the school. And we have them go around, they collect balls, they help us clean balls, they do drop offs, they do pickups, whatever it is. And he kind of coordinates those right now with the volunteers and the facilities. And hopefully at scale he can continue doing that. The guy in Los Angeles right now, he reached out to me, and I've fortunately through the social media we've done some good stuff, but we've been contacted by a few people. But Los Angeles is a pretty key market for us if you think the eco-friendly and pickleball side. So I really wanted to expand out there, and this guy seemed like a great guy. He's got a lot of connections. So on his own dime, he's actually growing out there in hopes for this to grow into something big, and then obviously he'll reap the benefits later. And we he has 10 bins out there right now. This is like a brand new thing that happened maybe a month or two ago. And that's kind of the team right now. Like I mentioned, a partner with a nonprofit up in the New England area. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Leveraging as much volunteering as you can is definitely the best way to go, especially because you're environmental friendly. So that helps out a lot. Do you
definitely.
have do you have any mentors currently right now? I feel like mentors are like business therapists. If you have a problem, you share it with them, or if something's going good, you want to share it with them. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, 100%. I have a few key ones. So starting out the business, I had a mentor, or I still talk to him like once a month, but his name's Jonathan King Credo. He was a professor at FGCU, and the beginning of Bounce Back, I was in his office 5 days a week, just figuring it out type of
Mhm.
thing. And he was a massive help, and he still is to this day. I was over the summer introduced to a guy named Ken Goldman, who now I meet with him once a week, and he's been the CFO of 12 different Fortune 100 companies.
Wow.
He's awesome. He like really challenges me and knows kind of my potential that I don't know, or sees potential that I don't know. So it's exciting, and he pushes me hard. And then also my dad is a huge one. I talk to my dad more than I ever have. And like I mentioned earlier, he's always been a small business owner. He's a successful entrepreneur, and he helps me with a million things just throughout the day. I call him when I need something. And we're actually business partners in another business right now as well, which is watch trading, which is a complete side thing. But yeah,
That's pretty
three,
awesome.
three very key people.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's definitely important to have mentors. There's even this program. I always refer them, but it's called Score. You know, it's a free online place where you can put a request in, and then you can actually get a mentor that pairs with you. So I always like that resource. What do you think that you've benefited the most from your mentors?
Quick shout out to Score because Ken Goldman's a Score mentor as well. But something I've wow, that is a huge question. I could say multiple things about every single one. Okay, I'll start with King Credo. He taught me professionalism in business, if that makes sense, early on. He got me ready for all of my pitch competitions that I took part in. He helped me write early letters to the county parks and rec. He helped me apply to these pitch competitions. That was all him. Like every single day we were working on something together.
That's awesome.
Ken Ken has helped me business strategy wise and really getting into how we're going to scale this thing, the logistics. He's going to help me get ready for investment. He's going to help me with all my finances. He every week, every time we talk, there's something new that he challenges me on, or something, a new task he gives me, something to take away from the call. He he's shown me what hard work really is, to be honest. And then, I mean, my dad, I've been learning lessons from him since I was a kid. I could say the same thing about my dad. He's taught me what hard work is. Although that, fortunately, the work that he's in, like my dad has always been around. He's made time for us and our family and whatever. But I see him grinding on his laptop in the kitchen at 7 a.m. to
Uh-huh.
all the way up to 11 p.m. at night type of thing. So yeah,
No, that's
all,
pretty great.
yeah,
Yeah, I gotta say, I think something that I get a lot from my mentors that I have is really just bouncing ideas off, just having conversations, even if they don't give any like type of like feedback, or like they just like say, oh, that sounds great, or maybe you could change this. But what's really nice is just to be able to say to share your idea, and I think hearing it out loud helps out a lot as well.
100%. Every time I have a like interesting phone call with someone where there's like a new opportunity or something, before I any ever make any decision, I'm like, yeah, just let me talk to my people, and I'll have these conversations with
Mhm.
Ken or Dad. And there's a few other people there that just aren't as prominent to talk about, but you know how it is. You talk to people and you bounce ideas off of people, and they're the ones that can give you new perspectives.
That's pretty cool. Now is bounce back something that you're doing full time? Are you balancing your time with other things? What does your like day to day look like, or your week maybe?
Yeah, so going into this new year, I'm actually right now in the process of like structuring how this month is gonna look. I'm doing this like full annual goal tracker sheet that my sister gave me. She spent a few dollars on this Excel spreadsheet, and it's a super in-depth goal tracker. If I can send you the link to it after, maybe you can share it with your audience. It's a pretty
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
unique
sometimes
tool.
I put things on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically my time is split up between school, bounce back pickle, the watch trading stuff like I mentioned earlier. I actually do a little bit of UGC work on the side just for some general income before bounce back is revenue generating. And a lot of that work is starting to be more detailed, if that makes sense. So I really have to sit down and get into like nitty gritty stuff with bounce back, with the watch stuff, with the UGC stuff, and also stay on top of my school because I have certain goals with school. I guess I can say this: my goal is to graduate the FGCU Student Entrepreneur of the Year, as well as like keep my GPA up nice and high. So yeah, it's really split right now. But bounce back is my goal long term to be full time. So once I graduate, assuming this next 6 months goes well with the prototyping, and assume we can prototype a high quality ball, I really think that I can scale this thing and grow it to be my full time thing that, could be worth a $1 million project one day type of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I see what you do on social media, and it's really starting to grow somewhere. I know you were having struggling, like trying to find someone to make the pickleballs, but overall, you really do have a great start in what you do.
Yeah,
What do you
thank you.
think? Yeah, of course. What do you think your first win was? Did you have a moment where you're like, oh, okay, wow, this is gonna work? Was it maybe like putting out a certain bin out in a location, or when did that first win kind of hit you?
Yeah, I think there were a few like micro wins along the way. The first being I would reach out to this facility park manager at my local park. I emailed him like 5 times, never got a response. And then Jonathan King Credo actually sent an email for me. And since he has like that professor tag headline, he got a response in like 5 minutes. So that was the first like micro win. I got my first bin locked in. And then obviously that bin failed. And then the second micro win was selling out of those hats at that FGCU tournament. In order to afford the next one, is it showed me that people actually liked it and people were buying a brand that I built. And then I guess the first big one was winning that first pitch competition. It really showed. I mean, the judge panel was worth like 30-40 billion dollars of 7 people. So they are obviously successful entrepreneurs, and it really felt good that I had their validation that this was something that I could build and grow, and they believed in. So that really pushed me to just go to the next level.
Wow, that's awesome. It's good to have those benchmarks.
Yeah.
So talking about the pitch competitions, is there anything that you changed like after you had the first one, did you change something like pretty drastically? Like what did you learn most from? Because I feel like a lot of people like struggle finding the pitch competitions, and then maybe they might not know what to do after either winning or not placing, or what was something that you've changed?
Yeah, so the first one I competed in was like a super super strict format. It was like 5 slides, and all these competitions have different formats, but it was like 5 slides and you had to have certain things on each slide. So everyone's slide looked relatively similar. Um, the the number one thing in pitch competitions is to stay confident and convey your idea in a way of value. You have to push value onto whoever your audience is, which is usually a panel of judges.
Mhm.
Um, so, with that being said, I went to another pitch competition, which was a completely different format, where they had us make a 60-second video, which played on the screen as you walked up to the stage. And then it was like a Q&A sit down type thing with whether it was an investor or a partner at a firm. And in those types of situations, you just have to get out as much information as you possibly can when they ask you a question. So really like dissect your answer so that you can just feed the audience answers and feed the judges what they want to hear. Um, and and just be confident. That's my number one thing in pitch competitions.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we've applied. I tell people this all the time. We applied to so many pitch competitions, and we don't get into a single one of them, which is pretty funny, even though our business is functional. But we learn so much just from creating those pitch decks, creating the videos, and I kind of enjoy that a lot too. You know, making the videos, putting everything together, especially when you have some data to work with, and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I you can probably relate to this. I don't know if got into it or not, but the USF pitch competition that was a couple months ago.
The Dabbler.
Yeah, the Davler one, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I didn't get into that one. And like 2 weeks before I had placed in the CEO pitch competition.
Hmm.
So I was really like gutted that I didn't make the USF one, and I was honestly quite pissed off. But I just kind of used it as fuel, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna apply to like 10 times more pitch competitions than I did this semester than I will next semester. So that's another goal on my list this year is the most funded student at FGCU is $72,000 in equity free funding, and my goal is to beat him on that. So that's another one of my goals that I'll put out there.
That's a pretty good goal. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably don't get into pitch competitions, and I think what people have to like kind of consider, and this is something I consider too. It might not be your idea. It might not be like your idea was better or worse than another. It's just kind of like depends on the judges. I was just talking to Morgan, and she has pre-workout gummies, and her judges were like a little bit of an older crowd that might not even know what a pre-workout gummy is. They might just think it's candy and it's not really important. So I think it really just depends on the judges, the format of the pitch competition. Even some of them look for like just tech ideas or just really big like innovating ideas. So I think that's all stuff that's really important to take consider.
Definitely, definitely. I think
Yes.
with pitch competitions, more um the more unique or proprietary your idea is, the higher success rate you have getting through that application stage, just because they're super startup orientated and innovative, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. So I was talking about how I like enjoy making the videos, even just applying to the pitch competitions and making decks and all that. What do you enjoy most about what you do? Is there something on like your day-to-day life that you enjoy a lot? For me, it's tabling. I love to do tabling and talking with students, talking about what we do, and then even making content on social media, is something I enjoy a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think I can relate to that. I don't necessarily table a lot, but I do really enjoy going into classrooms and speaking. Last semester, I kind of made it a goal for once or twice a month to go into like an intro to entrepreneurship class and speak about bounce back and just open up the floor to questions about my story and see if anyone can learn anything or if they wanted to grab lunch with me after, type of thing. And I did. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And obviously, it's nervous going into a class of, or nerve-wracking going into class of 40, 50 kids, but once I get up there and I start talking, I'm kind of cool with it. And the kids like it, like they get engaged with it, and I I'm only a couple years older than them, and they can see that like I'm a relatable kid, and I go in and they ask me questions, and usually I'm up there talking for an hour, hour and a half, the full length of the class, which is so much fun. And I feel like after I tell them about bounce back, I'm just pouring value onto these kids, and it's awesome. I can't really ask for anything more. So um I that's one thing that I really enjoy and I want to do more of. But like you say, social media too is another huge thing I enjoy. I'm actually bringing on a creative director. So part of the team, I guess, from earlier, a creative director who is coming on to help me out with like my editing and my scripting and storyboarding type stuff. So my social media is going to take off a little bit in this new year. Um, so yeah, social media and I guess public speaking.
Yeah, yeah, public speaking is fun. I've done a lot of presentations. What we do is very hyper local. I wish deals and discounts on our app were available everywhere, but it's just Tampa Bay. And I've done at least 50 presentations, all the way up from 5 students to 400. And it gets easier, but if you take a break for like a month from presenting, it's just as nerve-wracking as it was the first time.
Oh
I
yeah,
have I have some videos from like the first few times I did it, and man, it is definitely hard. But I definitely do see the return that you're talking about, where there's students that are actually engaged with it. I mean, that's almost the whole point that I'm starting this podcast, because there's so many students out there that maybe they don't want to do entrepreneur or any type of like business in their life, but they find it fascinating that it's someone their age starting something new. It's definitely an excuse to have something going on during class. I don't know how you went for an hour. I I only go for like a couple of minutes, but that's really great to hear. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So okay, I also have some questions here. Um, I'm just going to kind of run through them. So what belief did you have early on that you no longer believe? So I can
Mhm.
give an example
Okay. Yeah.
for like what I do. So I thought I had to push out a lot of social media ads. I thought I was like, okay, I'm going to create a platform. Either everybody's going to want to be on it, or I'm going to have to push out Instagram ads. Like spending $40, getting a certain amount of users, whatever not. And I completely don't believe that anymore. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I'm actually a mentor now for Score. I had a mentor for over a year, and now I'm actually a mentor myself. And one of the things I tell all of them is that when I'm mentoring you, or whenever we meet, you're not going to spend a dime on marketing. So like I've tried the ads, and it doesn't have a good return, but it worked out so much better just posting on social media and building the brand. So that's kind of something that a lot of people do, and it's just something I don't do, because there's so many ways that you could build your brand, and then that's going to build your company overall.
I completely agree with that. I This isn't necessarily my answer to your question, but this is a belief that I used to have about social media, that I've seen be broken recently. That all the people who have, I guess you could say, like fame, or your Instagram famous or TikTok famous, or even the YouTubers that used to have millions of subscribers, I used to think it was impossible to do it, but it's really not. You just need to make that engaging content and provide something that people want to watch. I think a belief I used to have is that failing's bad. And I think unfortunately, like school pushed that on me when I was a kid. Like third, fourth, fifth grade, always get A's. If you fail, it's bad. You fail your class, you don't fail your class, whatever. But then when I started looking at it in a business perspective, and you fail in business, and you learn from your failures, and there's always something you can learn from your failures, even if it's failing a class. Like, okay, well, I didn't learn this subject, so now I need to learn this subject so I don't fail. That's that is the point of failing. So I now think that failing's good if you look at it in the right way.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty good answer. I've learned a lot. I learned through every single thing I do. Even making these episodes, they're gonna get better and better as you go. But yeah, but like you said, just in the very beginning, you just kind of gotta go out there, get it done with, put it out there. If it doesn't come out right, it doesn't come out right.
Exactly.
So that's definitely a great answer. Okay, what let's see what else we have here. Did anyone tell you early on that your idea wouldn't work, and how did you handle that? And was there something that you changed because of that?
So yes, and I'm not going to say any names. So the idea itself, and I say this humbly just because I've been told by so many people, is it's a fantastic idea. If it works, it's awesome. And if I can produce a high enough quality ball, then it fixes a huge problem, right? There was one girl that I met with who is involved in a pretty big pickleball organization. She actually runs it. And she was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "What do you mean, why am I doing this?" Like, well, one, it's good for the environment. I'm like saving all these broken pickleballs that clubs actually have a problem with. And two, I mean, if it works, it's going to be huge. Like, this can be awesome. And she just couldn't comprehend why I was doing it. And she was like, "It's so much work for you to do this, and like it doesn't make sense, and people won't play with your balls." And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna prove her wrong. Like, I, why did she say all that? That's just so negative. Even if she believed all of that, there's just no point in her saying that out loud. Um, I use it as fuel.
Awesome. Yeah. That's definitely a good way to look at it. I've been told pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just funny how you explain it because like I literally shared the same experience. I tell people what we do. We do deals and discounts. Businesses are on there giving discounts, and then someone will say, "Well, how are you going to make money from that? How are you going to sustain that like long term? Is it going to make money?" And it's like sometimes like even if you don't have the answer, you just gotta push through it. Like you just have to like believe it's a good idea and share it too. Like it's definitely saying like I have a good idea and this is gonna work. And I think that really goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Def-
yes, so with that said, I know you're still early in your journey, but would you start all over today with a different business if you had to? Would you start over from zero?
Not right now. No, I bounce back is still on its early legs. I think that it has huge potential. I think we'll hit that potential, and I just think it's a perfect time, perfect market. Pickleball's booming. It's like the fastest growing sport in the United States and growing in the world rapidly. I think like 5% of my followers are in Malaysia. Um, so it's really an awesome business to get into. It's sustainable pickleball, and if it works, I think it's just going to take off.
So maybe to rephrase the question, if you couldn't do what you're doing now, would you start over? Like and start a
If I,
different business. Like so
oh,
say like nobody plays pickleball tomorrow. Would you start
oh,
another business?
yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, I have ideas kind of like circulating in my head that whether I see them on Instagram because I follow some of these business account things, or just ideas I've seen in the past that I think could be improved on. Um, there's always a way to solve problems and make money from it. And I could see myself starting something else tomorrow, like you said, if need be.
That's interesting, and I know you're still early on in your journey, and I wonder if that will change. But I'm like almost 2 years in being an entrepreneur, and I don't know if I could start over and do a whole nother business. I would like if for some reason nobody needed deals, discounts ever, like starting tomorrow. I don't, and I had to start a whole new business. Man, I do not want to have to build a whole nother brand and all that. Like it is fun, but I think after a certain point, like it's like wow, like having to do it all over again. Because I think a lot of the fun is figuring it out. And if you already know how to do it, it's just kind of like busy work catching up to wherever you might have been in the past. And there are some entrepreneurs who are like decades in their business, and they say the same thing, and they would start something maybe more like a podcast. That's very interesting. And I'm curious what other people will say in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess to answer wholeheartedly, I kind of am doing it right now with the watch stuff. My dad started it middle of 2025, and
Mhm.
he he kind of went like break even by the end of 2025, and I was like, I think I can help you out. So I'm helping him build some funnels, and we're gonna do some social media stuff, and we're kind of building the base of the business again. We're selling all of the inventory he has and then just kind of starting back up. So it's going to be actually interesting to see how I can use everything I've learned in the last year to put into that business.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know the watch business is very big. I remember a few years ago, I was seeing people like just walk around the street, and then they find like a vendor and they sell a watch and they negotiate. It's a very cool process.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I hope it goes well.
Yeah. So looking in the future, do you see yourself working with any other products, like recycling any other products besides pickleballs, or are you just going to be staying with pickleballs that it's a big enough market to just stay with?
So for right now, we're focused on pickleballs just because we want to refine the product and make, like I said, a high enough quality product as possible.
Mhm.
Um, this first test run's going to tell a lot. I know there's a couple things that we already need to improve on it that we're working on getting a second test run done as we speak. But for now, within the sport of pickleball, it's hard because the paddles are made of so many different materials. There's plastic on the outside of some of them there aren't. The inside are made out of foam or honeycomb however you say it, polyethylene. Some are carbon fiber, and then you have the handle, which could be wood or plastic, and then it's got the elastic band on the plastic. So we paddles is hard. Moving into other sports, there could be potential, but when you think about other sports and what sports use plastic balls, there aren't too many that break that often. You know, maybe ping pong's every so often, but um, maybe something to look into. Right now, we're really focused on pickleballs. I mean, the pickleball ball market is almost a $700 million industry. So if we can barge into that, there's definitely room for this to be like a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, that sounds like the best way to go. I mean, why, why overextend yourself? You know.
Yeah.
Now, have you been able to sell any product yet, or is this gonna be like the first round of actually selling the balls, like at the end of the end of the product line, I guess.
Yeah, so we haven't actually got our hands on any of these prototype balls yet. We're still waiting to get them back from China. And to be quite honest with you, we're probably not going to sell this prototype batch because I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to be as high quality as the second run. Looking into the second run, assuming they come back as high quality as I assume, based on the changes, and I'll get into the changes, is one of them I didn't clean the balls this first time, and I can see little specks of dirt in the prototype, the video she sent me. We'll see. We'll see when they come back. But another reason is because I actually have a little bag of it here. This is the powder plastic. You can actually see a little bit of dirt in there right now, but it's a little coarser than the virgin powder that they use. So I reached out to the guy that pulverized my plastic, and he said that the machine they used was a lab desktop version, which grinds the material into this type of powder. The larger industrial size version will grind, or pulverizer will grind it up into finer plastic like their virgin material. I think that difference is gonna, you know, make the difference of these balls. I've seen videos of them getting played against on the wall, and they look perfectly fine. They play and they bounce, but pickleball players are picky and they want like the highest performing whatever. They want to play with what the pros play with. So we're really shooting for that high enough quality product before we go to market.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Uh, have you worked on packaging yet? Do you have any type of idea for that yet?
Yeah, I do. I don't have, so I can actually grab something for you.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
so this is the first prototype package we got. It's just a box with a little cutout. Now these are just
Hmm.
broken balls. These aren't anything. Um, and then the other one is downstairs in my house right now, but it looks just like this, but we've got recycling cutouts on the sides. So it's like a recycling logo that's cut out and you can see through, which is awesome. It looks sick. We have obviously we haven't designed it yet.
Yep.
The plan is to be like a craft color, like cardboard color with black, whether it's vegetable or soy ink that's kind of recycled ink, um, or sustainable ink, and that's the goal.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be fun seeing seeing it actually all put together and then actually selling it. Like I'm even excited to see how all of those go. I might even
Yeah,
do follow-ups, with everybody that comes on the podcast. Like, okay, now like the manufacturing's figured out, the packaging's figured out. Like where are they now? So that might be
yeah,
something interesting to
yeah.
explore in the
That'd be
future.
awesome. Once we get our second round back, I think it would be a good time to hop back on the call and see where we're at.
Yeah, sounds good. So do you have any questions for me? I don't know if you've prepared anything. No worries if you didn't. It might be something that I incorporate in the future. But yeah, do you have anything?
Um, I mean, what's your goals with 9Yap?
Yeah, I know,
Let's hear it.
a pretty weird spin. So right now I am working. I guess we'll talk more about the podcast. I am working on the podcast, getting a bunch of people on just to hear people's stories. So that is something exciting that I'm coming out with. In the spring, we are expanding to the University of Tampa, so that is going to be fun. I look forward to that. And it's really just building the brand. We could only move so fast. You could only uh, you can only engage with your audience as much in like a short span of time. So we're really focusing on the brand before we reach out to like another school and stuff like that. So
Exactly. Kind of taking the same approach I did. I like it.
yeah, exactly.
Build a
Well,
brand base. You can get out there.
yes, yes, yes. I think building the brand is definitely the most fun part. It's the most rewarding. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I
Cool.
think I think that's pretty much it that I have for today. Thank you for coming on. I can't wait to put everything together. And then if you have any images you like to show, like that we could show throughout, just feel free to send those.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send you over some cool videos of the manufacturing stuff that you can put over some clips or whatever. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Looking forward to catching up in a few months and we can do another one of these and tell the audience where I'm at.
Awesome. All right, that sounds great. Thank you very much. And then you can hang on for just a minute, and then we can talk afterwards.
Cool.
So what'd you think? I think it went pretty well, at least for my second podcast. I know the flow is a little off. I asked if you had any questions at the end. That was kind of weird, but hey, you know what? It all worked out, and we'll get better and better every time, just like business. So please subscribe if you want to hear more, listen to more, wherever you're listening at. In the comments, ask any questions you like. I'd be happy to answer as many as possible. If you have questions maybe about your journey, if you want to start your journey, or just some feedback, I would love it. So hope you enjoyed it. The next one, we're going to try to pump these out every Monday at 2 p.m. and see what happens. So have a good day.